Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Make sure you subscribe to the All This Math YouTube channel. Make sure you drop a comment down below, especially after I get to explaining. If there's something that you don't understand, make sure you drop a comment down there with your question. And I may do a follow-up video just addressing your question. All right, you never know. All right. Also like the video, also share the video with somebody. All right, now let's get into it. You notice back here, this is a slight word problem. Nothing too crazy. I don't want y'all to be intimidated by word problems, right? It's just a bunch of words, right? Right? We're going to read it, make sense of it, comprehend it, and then we're going to apply math in order to solve the question, answer the question or solve the problem. So let's take a look. It says a recipe for whole wheat bread. A recipe for whole wheat bread. I think I spelled that wrong. This is embarrassing. Wheat actually has an H in it. See, I don't like that. I'm not into all that. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Yeah, wheat. See, on the internet, I like to be correct on the internet. Whole wheat bread. That's better. Yeah. I should have proofread before I hit record. But anyway, it's all good. Mistakes happen. All right. So anyway, let's start it over. I need it from the top. A recipe for whole wheat bread calls for 2 1/4, right? Or 2 1/4 cups of flour. If you only have 1/4 cup measure, how many 1/4 cups of flour do you need? Now, 1/4 cup measure. That sounded strange when I first read it and I first wrote it. 1/4 cup measure, meaning you have a like a measuring scoop like this. That's 1/4 of a cup. All right. This is 1/4 of a cup. All right. 1/4 of a cup. 1/4 of a cup. All right. So let's say you need 2 1/4 cups of flour, but you don't got that. You don't have that measuring tool. You don't got a measuring cup that's 2 1/4. You don't got the big glass Pyrex, measuring glass. You don't got that for some reason. Maybe it broke, maybe it got lost, maybe you can't find it, whatever, right? But you do got this. You're trying to improvise, right? And because we know math, we can use this. However, we need to know, because if we fill this up one time, that's only a quarter, right? And we do know that 2 1/4 is more than 1/4. But the question is going to be what? How many 1/4 cups of flour do we need? So how many times do we got to fill this up? Right? Now, what we could do is now this is also why. So one way we could do this is this. Watch how I break this down. Start with 2 1/4. We'll grab a marker. Start with 2 1/4 and then subtract 1/4. You subtract 1/4 from 2 1/4, that equals 2. And then you do this, you subtract 1/4 until you get to 0, right? That's the long way. That's the old school long way. That's the way we would do it before another operation called division was invented, or not even invented, but discovered through the recognition of patterns of subtraction, right? So if we didn't have division, we would have to just subtract. Okay, 2 1/4 minus 1/4 is 2. Then we would do 2 minus 1/4. And we have to know something about fractions to know that 2 minus 1/4 is just 1, is going to equal 1 3/4. And then you'd have to do 1 3/4 minus 1/4, which is going to be 1 1/2, or 1 2/4. 1 1/2, 1 2/4. They mean the same thing. And you'd have to keep subtracting until you get down to 0. Now, thus far, we've subtracted how many 1/4? 1, 2, 3, right? And we down to 1 1/2. But we'd have to go from 2 1/4 to 0 to know how many 1/4. Now, notice what I said though. This is called repeated subtraction. Repeated subtraction. Repeated subtraction is the same thing as division. Division. So what does that mean? That means that in order to find our answer more directly, all we need to do is use 2 1/4 as our dividend, and then divide by 1/4 as our divisor. 2 1/4 divided by 1/4, which will equal our quotient. So we got 2 1/4 divided by 1/4, which will equal our answer. So now we got to know something about dividing fractions or mixed numbers. Now, the way I would do this is I would convert this mixed number. And again, why is it called a mixed number? Because it's a mixture of two types of numbers. We got a whole number 2 and a fraction 1/4. A whole number in 2 and a fraction in 1/4. So this is a mixed number. It's a mixture of two types of numbers. So I would convert this to an improper fraction. And then I would divide the two fractions. So I would convert 2 and 1/4. I would do 2 times 4, which is 8. I would take the 8, add it to 1, which gives me 9. Keep the 4 for the denominator. So then I have 9/4 divided by 1/4. 9/4 divided by 1/4. Now, most of us, when we learn how to divide, we learn keep, change, flip, right? Which works. I like keep, change, flip. I'm a fan of it. I know a lot of colleagues, they don't like it. I like it. I mess with it, right? But what I also know is that, and shout out to Lanisha Boone from Bud and Bear Fruit, right? Check out her work. She's online. Bud and Bear Fruit, right? Education, Bud and Bear Fruit Education, right? She actually put me on a couple years ago to the fact that, because I never knew this before, when you divide fractions, you actually don't have to do keep, change, flip. If you have common denominators, you can actually divide horizontally. If you got well, even if you don't have common denominators, you can still do it. But the thing is, that might not get you straight to the answer. But in a situation where you like this, where you have common denominators of 4 and 4, if you divide horizontally, you're going to end up with 1 for your denominator anyway. And what happens when 1 is your denominator? You can basically disregard it because dividing by 1 gives you the same thing. I guess that would be the division property, the identity property of division, dividing by 1. I need to look that up because I don't know. I know there's a multiplication property of identity. There's an addition property of identity. I don't know that there's a division property of identity. I need to look into that. Anyway, right here. Divide the numerators. What's 9 divided by 1? 9. What's 4 divided by 4? 1. What's 9 divided by 1 again? 9. So that means that you would need 9 of these. You'd have to fill this up 9 times to get 2 1/4 cups of flour. You have to fill one of these up, which is 1/4 of a cup, right? You'd have to fill one of these up 9 times in order to get enough flour to make that whole wheat bread, right? Make sure you spell the word wheat correctly. Don't be like me. Be better than me. All right. So you got 9 of these. You need 9 of them. All right. So when you see a question like this, where you need to know how many of something can fit into a certain value, like how many 1/4 cups can fit into 2/4 of a cup, like how many of one quantity can fit into another quantity, that's a division problem, right? I don't want to say always a division problem, but I'm going to say at least the vast majority of the time, that's going to be a division problem. How many of one quantity can fit into another quantity? How many 1/4ths can fit into 2 1/4, right? That's a division problem. 2 1/4 divided by 1/4 will give you your answer. But also understand that division is a gift because in the absence of division, if we ain't have division, we'd have to do repeated subtraction. We'd have had to keep subtracting 1/4, minus 1/4, minus 1/4, minus 1/4, minus 1/4, until we got down to 0. And then we'd have to count up how many times we subtracted 1/4, which would have been 9. Or we could just divide. Right? Now let's see if we did keep, change, flip. Let me just do this, like just for the sake of for practice. Keep, change, flip, right? 9/4 times 4/1, which is going to be 9 times 4. Now I could cross cancel, but let's say I don't want to cross cancel. Let's say I just do horizontal multiplication. 9 times 4 is going to be 36. 4 times 1 is going to be 4. And then I got 36 divided by 4. I can reduce that, right? Or simplify. Some people say reduce, some people say simplify. I like both. Some people don't like the word reduce. I like it, right? 36 divided by 4 is going to be 9. So you see, we still get 9. That's how many cups of flour we need. We would need 9 1/4 cups, not 9 cups, but 9 1/4 cups of flour. All right. So like I said, if you got questions, that's cool. I will first rewind the video back to see if it makes more sense when you watch it again. But if not, put your questions in the comments, and I might make a video addressing your specific question. All right. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the channel with somebody else. Make sure you like the video. All right. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.